In the past few weeks, the crackdown on Muslim Rohingyas in Myanmar has triggered a mass exodus. The United Nations estimates that 390,000 Rohingyas have fled to neighboring Bangladesh after suffering what they say are violent attacks by government troops and others. The fighting is driven in part by an ongoing years-long conflict between Rohingya militants and the government of Myanmar. NewsHour special correspondent Tanya Rashid has this report from along the Bangladesh-Myanmar border.
It's a mass exodus with no end in sight. They can barely walk or speak, desperate and starving. Close to 500,000 Rohingya Muslims have fled to Bangladesh in the past 3 weeks, escaping violent attacks carried out by Myanmar troops and Buddhist vigilantes.
Hundreds of people are making their way into Bangladesh right now, and it's through terrible conditions of mud and rain and immense flooding. It's very slippery, the mud. To walk through this, I feel like you can fall down at any moment.
I can't move. Take this.
Get on my shoulders.
My leg is broken.
Get on my back.
Really? Won't it be too muddy and hard?
There is no other way. Get on my shoulders.
The military, the Myanmar military, one of the members broke her leg with a stick, and a relative is having to carry her through this muddied rice paddy field to the road.
Give me your other foot.
I'm going to fall. I don't have the energy.
Anuwara Khatun has been walking with her 2 children and husband for 8 days, with little food or water.
They took us out of our home and lined us up at a school and set our houses on fire. They tortured us. That's why we're here. They didn't care whether they were shooting cows or people. They just kept shooting. They slaughtered old people. They tortured us, and that's why we left. They stormed in and burned our homes. The military surrounded us and killed any young men they could find. They killed 4 to 5 people in front of me in Lambaguna.
So this is the border. This is where Bangladesh ends, and across the Naf River is where Myanmar begins. For the past hour, I've been seeing boat after boat filled with Rohingya refugees coming in.
The conflict was triggered by the Arakan Rohingya Salvation Army, known as ARSA, an insurgency group. Its fighters attacked dozens of police and army posts across Myanmar's Rakhine state on August 25th. Funded partially by private donors in Saudi Arabia, ARSA accuses the Myanmar military of acts of extreme violence against Rohingya Muslims. In response, the Myanmar military launched a major counterinsurgency campaign. The UN Human Rights Chief has called it a textbook ethnic cleansing. The Rohingya are a stateless Muslim minority group who have faced persecution in Myanmar. They are denied citizenship and freedom of movement. For the past 3 weeks, Myanmar's de facto leader, Aung San Suu Kyi, has come under immense international criticism for remaining silent in the face of this violence. Last week, the Nobel laureate canceled her trip to the UN General Assembly in New York to deal with the Rohingya crisis. The Rohingyas arrive in Bangladesh, hungry and tired, and into utter chaos.
Every scrap of land is being used by the refugees to make shelter. Since many of the refugee camps are overcrowded and such a large influx of people are coming in such a short period of time, people are doing what they can to make space for a home.
Hasina Begum fled her home 5 days ago.
The Buddhists burnt my village to ash. They shot my father dead in front of me. I traveled here through the forest with my family.
She told me she was helped by 2 armed men from ARSA as she crossed the border.
The Buddhists were killing us one by one before the August 25th attacks. That's why ARSA launched their attacks, because they are killing us. We couldn't take it anymore. That's why we are fighting. ARSA is fighting for all the Rohingyas in Myanmar.
Bengali locals and religious charities have stepped up to provide aid, but distribution has been chaotic. Bangladesh's Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina has asked the international community to put pressure on the Myanmar government to let the Rohingyas return. The immense scale of the crisis means that international aid agencies are the only ones equipped to respond.
The World Food Program is giving each refugee a 55-pound sack of rice. That has to last them and their family at least 2 weeks.
There are so many households, so many people, they are not getting the rice because the support is not adequate for them. So more food, more wash facilities, more shelter they need.
I spoke to women queuing for rice who told me harrowing stories of violence.
I can't sleep at night. They take women like us to be raped. The military made a woman give birth in front of them without any help. While she was giving birth, they stomped on her belly. Nobody could help her. The military took a child from me and killed her in front of my eyes. I couldn't stop them. They beat me with a gun and still feel pain all over my body. They take women into the jungle to rape and murder them. I heard them screaming, which was horrible. They tie them into a chair, pour gasoline over their head, and burn them alive. The army calls the children over to give them biscuits. Then they kill them and dump their bodies in the jungle.
Bangladesh is one of the world's poorest and most densely populated countries. I met with Mohammed Ershadul Haq, the local council secretary for the area near one of the largest refugee camps. He expressed concern that many local Bengalis share about the sudden influx of the Rohingya.
What has been the impact of the Rohingyas coming in?
The Rohingyas aren't developed. Their character is uncivilized. We are different from them. If they continue coming like this, it will lead to destruction.
Do you see this large influx of the Rohingyas coming in being a threat?
With this influx of Rohingyas, us Bengalis will become the minority. They will influence all the sectors of society. They might claim Bangladesh to be Rohingya territory. They built a makeshift camp on my land. They cut the trees from my garden to make their own homes. We aren't able to say anything right now. It could be that they will rule over us here.
Do you see the influx of Rohingyas coming in being a breeding ground for terrorism?
Attacks have already taken place in the official refugee camps. The Rohingyas attacked the local security forces.
Next to one of the largest camps, I met 2 Rohingya refugees who are members of the ARSA insurgency group and plan to go back to Myanmar to fight. They agreed to speak to us under the condition that we conceal their identities.
The other Rohingya people support the ARSA because they think that if ARSA stand to get back the right of Rohingya, and they will be able to move freely from town to town, from village to village.
But what do you think of the August 25th attacks? Hasn't that sparked all this violence that's happening right now and this mass displacement of the Rohingya people?
The other superpower countries and the whole world, they are still not responded with any kinds of responses. ARSA thought themselves that there is no one for us in the world to help. It's better for us to stand ourselves, to protect ourselves, to save our people from the inhuman persecutions of Myanmar government.
We love ARSA. We are willing to go to war for our rights. Rohingyas have rights. This is why we will fight with the Myanmar government till we get rights. We don't want to live without our citizenship, and us Rohingyas understand this. We are all united with ARSA. We will fight for our rights or we will die trying.
Are you willing to die?
Of course, I am willing to die. Of course. ARSA don't afraid of dying because the Rohingya people already have died.
As the violence continues in Myanmar, the future for the Rohingya refugees in Bangladesh looks bleak. Stateless and displaced, the sense of desperation is increasing day by day, making the perfect conditions for insurgency groups like ARSA to grow. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Tanya Rashid in Teknaf, Bangladesh.